Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Monday Night Raw. WCW wrestler Luther Horseshoe Reigns turned 43. Also would have been the birthday of 8-time NWA Texas champion Johnny Valentine. In a memoriam on this day, the wrestling world had lost two personalities on this date. Ray Big Boss Man Traylor, firstly in 2004, four-time WWF Hardcore champion. Also, Jorge Giant Gonzalez, also known as Elegante. In 2010, we lost him. As he was a long time sporting life as a basketball player, competing for the Argentine national team before being drafted by the Atlanta Hawks in 1988. He failed to adapt to the pace of the American game, so Ted Turner, owner of the Hawks, offered him a job at WCW. Thus beginning his wrestling career as Giant Gonzalez. Made his WCW debut as Elegante in 1990 for Capital Combat pay-per-view. He also feuded with Ric Flair and Sid Vicious before jumping to WWF in 1993 at a memorable feud with Undertaker, leading to one of the worst WrestleMania matches in history, though notably it was only the WrestleMania where Taker has not won his match decisively, as Gonzalez was disqualified. After the conclusion of the feud, Gonzalez quickly released from WWF and moved to Japan, where he competed for New Japan and WAR before retiring in 1995. Retirement, Gonzalez moved back to Argentina to live with his family on his family farm. Health was in severe decline. Later years, he died of suffering kidney failure. And now back to the wrestling news. Also birthday, the Japanese wrestler Naomichi Marufuji turned 35. Born September 26th, 1979. Stephanie McMahon, happy birthday on September 24th. Matt Hardy turned the magical number of 40. On September 23rd, there was no dark matches scheduled for Raw last week. Tough Enough participant Rima Faki turned 29. She was born September 22nd, 1985, won Miss USA pageant in 2010. Appeared on Tough Enough. Ricky Morton turned 58. He was born September 21st, 1956. Morton and tag team partner Robert Gibson continued to work as the Rock and Roll Express. Continue to contend that they belong in the WWE Hall of Fame for their work in a number of copycat acts they clearly inspired. The late Jack Briscoe was born on September 21st, 1941. He died on February 1st, 2010 at the age of 68 following complications of open heart surgery, and he and his brother Gerald were inducted into WWE Hall of Fame in 2008. Hall of Famer Arn Anderson, aka real name Martin Lundy, turned 56 on Saturday. He was born September 20th, 1958. Anderson continues to work for WWE as producer, agent. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as a member of the Four Horsemen in 2012. Mike Graham, late pro wrestler and agent, was born on September 22nd, 1951. He took his own life on October 19th, 2012 at the age of 61. He is the son of the legendary Florida promoter Eddie Graham, also committed suicide, as did Mike's son. Ben Leonard attended Night of Champions event from last week and sent the following regarding fan signs being taken away. As he is a longtime reader of ProWrestling.net, he was in section 105, and the same guy that always hands out Cesaro signs was there in an El Generico mask. He always hands out the Cesaro section signs, but today he handed out King of Wrestling signs with Cesaro's face on it. Security came by and during the match and took all the signs. We asked them why. They said, "You don't need to know why, and we're just doing as we're told." It reminded me of the guy who had his Nitro signs taken recently. They seem to also be on the sharper alert concerning inappropriate or off-color signs, as they made people mark out the writing or turn in any signs with sucks on it. Also, pertaining to the previous on-site report concerning the crowd reaction to the tag match, from where the reporter was, the roof blew off for the tag match. I would put it third behind Cena, Lesnar, and Ambrose returning brawl and overall pop. My thing is, anybody takes my sign, I'm going to sue them for my constitutional rights of freedom of free speech. WWE acknowledged the death of Michael Moody, the son of the late Hall of Famer Paul Bearer, aka William Moody. WWE is saddened to learn that Michael Moody, the son of legendary manager Paul Bearer, has passed away. The statement reads on WWE.com. The announcement was made also on Facebook page of Moody's brother Daniel. Earlier this year, both Michael and Daniel accepted Paul Bearer's WWE Hall of Fame induction on behalf of their father. WWE extends its condolences to the Moody family as well as I do. There's no word yet regarding the cause of the death. As soon as I find out, I'll let you know. WWE has hired Arda Ocal, who at one time co-hosted Right After Wrestling show with Renee Young on Canadian station The Score. For the broadcast team, Ocal, who is sporting his new WWE name, Kyle Edwards, tweeted, to quote The Rock, "Finally, I'm beyond thrilled to join WWE as a broadcaster. Dreams do come true," unquote. Ocal has been posturing for some time to get picked up by WWE, so good for him in achieving his dream. I'm shocked with all the talent cuts that WWE would hire a new announcer, but maybe they have a plan for him. WWE star Dave Bautista and former MMA champion Gina Carano have been added to the cast of Robert De Niro's Bus 67 movie heist film, according to Deadline.com. The story notes that Bautista plays the greedy co-worker of Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character. The duo rob a casino and hijack a bus full of hostages after their plan goes awry. Meanwhile, Serrano plays a cop. Principal photography starts on October 13th, so it appears that we won't be seeing Bautista in the ring for quite some time. The Rack Radio with Edge highlights hosted by, highlights that I'm posting for you. The report's hosted by Lindsay Ward and Sir Rockin'. The audio show is available at wildtalkradio.com. Has his time in WWE helped him with acting? I mean, it definitely does. You're in front of a camera no matter what. So that always is the same. There's nothing that gets you used to being in front of a camera except being in front of a camera. So I was in front of a camera my entire adult life. So that in part, it really helped me coming in. I wasn't coming in with zero experience or acting in front of a camera for the first time, because there's always an element of acting with the WWE. So that definitely lent itself. The one thing I had to learn was to pull back on my over-the-top mannerisms that you had to do in order to translate for someone that is an entire town's population away from your performance. In the back of a stadium, if you're performing for 80,000 people, you have to make it big, or they aren't going to see it. So that was a big difference, and I had to get used to. was pulling back and making things much more subtle, but in some respect, it's great to have a live microphone and no net, because once you do it, it's out there, and you have to make choices, and your choices are happening as you're seeing them, and that's amazing. But I have to admit, it's kind of nice to realize that you can do different things on a different take, and you have a script And you can actually think about some of these things after you do it once and go, I think I want to try this. Or talk to the director and say, what direction did you see it? And it can be much more of a community process as opposed to just going out there and you're standing in the middle of the ring by yourself with a live microphone and you have 10 minutes to fill. What it's like being a new father, it's amazing. It's all the cliches that people talk about, the movie and movie shows. It's all these things. You have much less sleep and you'll have poop in your hands, all that stuff. But it's awesome. What has really been a change this year was having a baby, then maintaining these hours. That's been a challenge, but it's been good. I mean, if you look a bit more tired this season on Haven, that's the reason. What can we expect from the Dwight on the upcoming season 5 of Haven? A lot happens. It's pretty crazy how the landscape of the town completely changes from the first episode to the episode that kind of breaks up season 5 or season 5A. I don't know how they're going to air it, but the entire town, the landscape of it, changes from the first episode to the 13th, and we're currently about to start filming the 17th episode, so it's really crazy when I start to think back, especially when Dwight first came onto the show, how much has changed, not only to the town, but him as a character. It's been a fun ride. How has Dwight evolved from its first appearance to season 5 on Haven? Well, initially I don't think anyone has the idea that the character would really be around that long. It was just kind of one of those crossover. WWE SmackDown airs right before Haven. I was just hired because I fit those categories, and then I think both parties, Haven and myself, realized, wow, we might have a little something here. Who knows? They are amazing, letting me grow into as an actor and into the character, and help me get comfortable with this whole process because I hadn't really done much acting before this. I was ready for it. If that had happened the first season, I would not have been. So it was very nice of them and kind of them to let me mature in the aspect of entertainment compared to what I was used to be doing. What it was like going from special guest to a regular on the show. Every time I get surprised, it became from cleaner to chief of police. But it's been a nice growth. It didn't happen overnight, and let me get comfortable with the process and even comfortable with the crew cast, and even getting the rapport. That's really important and helps your performance. So I think that they are really kind and just letting me figure my way and cutting my teeth a little bit and hopefully not screw it up too bad. And then once I started to feel more confident and comfortable, they gave me more responsibility, and that was nice. Does he miss performing in front of a live crowd? That was the fun part of it, was getting in front of the audience, but every other aspect, no, I don't miss the travel. I don't miss the amount of pain I was in. I don't miss being on the road 250 days a year. I don't miss planes every day. I don't miss rental cars every night. A different hotel every night, 3 a.m. after eating at Denny's at 1 a.m. I don't miss any of that. Don't get me wrong, it was a great gig, and I like I said, the amazing aspect was the performance part. But that was half an hour of a 24-hour day, because that job starts as soon as you wake up in the morning and doesn't stop until you go to bed. And then you're probably only getting 4 hours of sleep. So it's an interesting way to make a living. What is favorite Edge and Christian moment? Oh man, we have so many, to the point of we'll forget sometimes, and someone who will mention something and it's like, wow, oh yeah. There was luck involved, but a lot of hard work involved too, finding ourselves in moments where we always pictured ourselves but never fully know if it's going to happen. But I think at WrestleMania, doing what we said we were going to do when we were wrestling in his parents' side yard, jumping off a washing machine onto a mattress, So I think that would be the biggest one. But then we also found ourselves like I'm teaming with Hulk Hogan, and he's teaming with Lance Storm. Hulk Hogan is doing the Hulk up on him, and I just got tagged. I just tagged Hulk Hogan into the Hulk Up, and I was like, how did we get here? It's really crazy when it sat down and people have said, what's the story with you guys? We're like, well, here it is. We met in the 6th grade because of a ninja star. We went to high school together. We lived together in college, started wrestling together, went wherever we could and wrestled in barns and ate cans of tuna. We opened up with a key, 40-hour bus rides, made it to the WWE and won the tag team titles more than anyone else in history, and both became world champions. And also fathers within 6 weeks of each other to little girls. I mean, it's crazy how he and Christian found out about the other pregnancies. I was doing some promotional stuff for Sci-Fi, actually, and I was in New York for an upfront presentation, and I was in my hotel room, and him and Beth, had found out they were pregnant. And I was like, okay, I have to tell someone, and it's technically too early to tell someone, but I need to be able to if I talk to. So I called him, and I was standing in the bathtub of my hotel room because it's an amazing view, but only from the bathtub. So I'm standing there staring at the Empire State Building going, wow, that's beautiful. And he picks up the phone, and I said, so guess what? And he goes, what? I said, we're pregnant. And there's just a silence, and I was like, oh gosh, all right. And he goes, well, guess what? Oh, come on. And sure enough, they were pregnant too. And both had little girls, and it was nuts. And that's the end of the segment on Edge and Christian there. And then end of his report. Noted before, WWE NXT Diva Alexa Bliss has missed the TV tapings for the next set of NXT. The word is that she's dealing with a wrist injury. She worked last week's NXT live events and tag matches with Bayley against Dana Brooke and Sasha Banks. Goldust missed last WWE live event in Youngstown, Ohio, because it appears he was on vacation with his family in Hawaii. Stardust worked the event and lost to R-Truth in the opening match. Also noted, okay, I already did that one twice. Xavier Woods has been referring to his new stable with Kofi Kingston and Big E as the Smart Athletic Friends. It appears that's the new tag team name, and it appears each tag combination of the group will have their own nickname. Woods and Kofi were teaming up as the tag team name of Atlantic City. They tagged in Atlantic City, and it's not clear if Woods is referring to a team with Kofi or the team of Big E and Kofi, and calls that tag team Speed Force. Smart Athletic Friends and hashtag WWE Atlantic City. This combination is Speed Force at WWE Big E, Kofi Kingston. It's worth noting that the Smart Athletic Friends played the babyface role against the Los Matadors at the event and worked as heels at some recent live events, but it appears that they're trying out more, trying as babyfaces, what have you. Also, Mickie James and TNA star Magnus has welcomed their first child into the world, Donovan Patrick Aldis, into the world Thursday morning on the 25th. Mickie wrote the following on Facebook this past weekend. Thank you for all your well wishes. It truly means the world to us. September 25th, 2014 marks the single greatest accomplishment in all of my life. Nick and I welcomed our son, Donovan Patrick Aldis, into the world at 2:50 a.m. All of our lives, we searched for the meaning, that feeling of true, everlasting love, and at that moment, I looked into those eyes and I knew I'd found mine. A couple months ago, when she posted some pictures, I asked her about who the father was, because I seen the baby bump on her bikini pictures, and she just said that they were friends. So I knew the real story. The Undertaker and his wife Michelle McCool participated in the CC4C Micro Marathon for Inspiration earlier, that was last week, in a 2.62 mile family run around the Hill Country Galleria in Bee Cave, Texas. designed to raise funds to help inspire children suffering from a rare and undiagnosed condition. Results from the Full Sail University tapings from NXT, courtesy of In the Building Jacob. Dark match from NXT. Dash Wilder defeated Chad Gable. Gable is an Olympic chess bet, and he was said to be impressive in the match. Spoiler for October 16th NXT. Baron Corbin squashed an enhancement wrestler. Sami Zayn came out and reflected back to last week, the last episode of previous taping, where he lost 2 titles on O'Neil. Zayn said he's tired of losing. He said he's better than this. Said it's time to refocus and go after the NXT Championship. Tyson Kidd came out in a Sami Zayn shirt. He said Sami will never be champion and questioned if Zayn was even good enough to be in NXT. Zayn said this is his road to redemption and it's starting with him beating Tyson Kidd later in the show. Match number 2, Lucha Dragons defeated Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy. Match number 3, Charlotte pinned Becky Lynch. Match number 4, Les Legionnaires versus Enzo Amore and Cole Cassidy didn't even happen. LaForte actually knocked the wig off of Louis. So Louis commenced to beating the hell out of Sylvester LaForte and left him lying. Yeah, I remember Sylvester LaForte. Yeah, he was he was in the corner of Elijah Burke when they were wrestling together or what have you. Enzo and Cass asked for a match, but female independent talent Leva Bates came out to face Carmella instead. Which match number 5, Carmella with Enzo and Cass squashed Leva Bates. And your main event for the show saw Sami Zayn defeat Tyson Kidd. October 23rd show, The Ascension defeated Jason Jordan and Ty Dillinger. After the match, Hideo Itami came out to fight The Ascension, but he fell victim to the numbers and got laid out. Between the last taping and this, a pattern is emerging with Itami getting laid out every single week. Fortunately, the crowd is hanging in and hasn't given up on him yet. Match number 2, Tyler Breeze pinned CJ Parker. Mojo Rawley came out mid-match to watch. He was said to be very subdued, and there wasn't a confrontation. Match number 3, the Vault Villains defeated Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy. Match number 4, Sasha Banks defeated Bayley. After the match, Becky Lynch turned heel on Bayley and joined up with Sasha. Match number 5, which is the main event of that show, Adrian Neville successfully defended the NXT Championship against Titus O'Neil. After the match, Sami Zayn came out and met Neville on the stage. He confronted Neville, but said he's on a mission for the title. Neville said he'd accept Zayn's challenge whenever and wherever. Zayn told Neville to enjoy the title while he has it, but Neville continued that he's not worried because Zayn can't win the big one. And on your October 30th show, Vault Villains won a number 1 contender tag team battle royal. The match came down to the Ascension and the Vault Villains. When Hideo Itami distracted the Ascension and cost them the match, afterwards Itami tried to attack the Ascension again, but got laid out again. They told him to go back to Japan or they'll send him back in a box. Match number 2, Carmella defeated Emma. Match number 3, Bull Dempsey over Jeff Gabriel. Match number 4, Baron Corbin squashed the enhancement talent. The crowd counted the match time allowed while this one happened. Match number 5, Marcus Lewis defeated Sylvester LaForte. And your main event saw Sami Zayn defeating Titus O'Neil. I never want to see this match or Titus in NXT again. There's a commentary that was passed along with this result. Tyler Breeze came out and said that Sami Zayn had to go through him if he wanted to shot at the title. He revealed that the GM William Regal had okayed a number 1 contender match between the two and would headline the following show. November the 6th taping. Hideo Itami opened the show by saying that he brought a friend with him tonight to help him deal with the Ascension. Match number 1, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch defeated Bayley and Charlotte. Match number 2, Tyson Kidd squashed Dash Wilder. Match number 3, Sami Zayn defeated Tyler Breeze to become the number 1 contender. The Ascension came out and mentioned Hideo Itami when his music hit, and he came onto the stage. Suddenly, new music hit, and Prince Devitt appeared on the video wall. He came out, and the wall changed to say, Finn Balor. Balor and Itami hit the ring and destroyed the Ascension with vicious kicks and stomps. The two international guys were said to have looked fantastic and were given time to look like stars, and got way over big for the crowd. And they had a dark match main event, Rusev defeating Jack Swagger. Seth Rollins was advertised for the next set of tapings for October 23rd. Spoilers. Tapings. So, well, get the next live special on December 11th. But nothing is official. The following is live notes from the Raw Peak Show. Broadcast from the WWE Network. Byron Saxon, Booker T, and Alex Riley hosted the show from the studios in Stamford, Connecticut. The Miz will face Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental title on Raw was advertised. Booker said Ziggler exercised his rematch clause. Sheamus and the Usos versus Cesaro, Goldust, and Stardust in a six-man tag was announced for Raw. Backstage at Raw, Renee interviewed The Miz while Damian Sandow stood by. The Miz had the Intercontinental title, and Sandow had a replica version of the title. Sandow also mimicked what Miz was saying. The host closed the show with the bold predictions. Riley predicted that Stephanie McMahon will challenge AJ Lee for the Divas Championship. And Booker predicted that Brock Lesnar will show up on Raw and have a confrontation with the Authority that will lead to something involving Lesnar and Seth Rollins. Well, from my view, I don't think there was any challenge that the Authority McMahon for Stephanie gave. What? Well, let's see here. Raw opened up from the actual pre-show. Fans filing into the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. Byron Saxon already told you that. They hyped Dean Ambrose's return. Tonight we get a look back at John Cena versus Brock Lesnar from Night of Champions and how the match ended with Seth Rollins. Riley saw a different side of Cena came out last night. Byron shows us Cena's post-Night of Champions interview when he called Rollins foolish. More talk about Night of Champions, including Rusev defeating Mark Henry. They talk about how impressive Rusev has been so far. Riley says this win takes Rusev to a whole new level. We go to commercials. Back from the commercial, they talk about Roman Reigns having emergency surgery this past last weekend. We see the coverage from the weekend on Reigns. They talk about the WWE Tag Team titles next. Booker predicts the Usos will be back on top soon. Riley says he's even more impressed with the Stardust and Goldust. Saxon announces Sheamus and the Usos versus Cesaro, Goldust, and Stardust for Raw. And Renee is backstage with Miz and Damian Sandow. Sandow has a replica. Yada, yada, yada. Get more hype from the panel before bold predictions. And Riley predicts Stephanie again. Leading to the section, the segment with Seth Rollins, and Saxon hyping the show. Raw opens up with a video package of stills from John Cena and Brock Lesnar, Night of Champions. We're live from the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee, with Michael Coleslaw, JBL, and Jerry the King Lawler. Right to the ring, and out comes Dean Ambrose with a big pop. Ambrose says he's far from dead, and WWE's ugly stepchild is back. Ambrose said he's been a little loopy in the head since we last saw him. He's been replaying and what happened with the cinder blocks. He shows a replay of what happened last month with Kane and Seth Rollins. Ambrose is kind of flattered, and the Authority that would go to great lengths to get rid of him. Ambrose said he's not satisfied and can hold a grudge. He said tonight he's the Authority and he's not leaving the ring until he gets his hands on Rollins. Ambrose throws a steel chair in the ring and takes a seat in the middle of the ring. Fans chant his name. John Cena's music hits in a minute. Comes a reaction. Ambrose kicks a chair out of the ring. He's bothered and doesn't like that Cena is standing in front of him right now. Ambrose says that he is flying close to a flame. Cena calls him Mr. Ambrose and says that his similar agenda. He says Cena had Brock Lesnar beat at Night of Champions until that slimy rubber suit wearing jackass Seth Rollins showed up. Cena says he would have the World Heavyweight title right now. Cena says he's cashing in his ass kicking in a briefcase shot on Rollins tonight, and no one is going to stop him. Ambrose says he's warned Cena once, don't get in his way. Cena takes off his gear and gets ready for a fight. The music hits, and out comes Triple H, Stephanie, and Kane, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins. Triple H tells them to relax before they fight over something they have no control over. He says Rollins won't be fighting anybody tonight. This seems like this week's results. Rollins runs off to the crowd, and Ambrose chases him. Ambrose catches up, but Rollins runs off again. Cena also runs after Rollins. Kane and Orton look on from the ring while Triple H regroups with Stephanie. Cameras go backstage as we see Ambrose attacking Rollins in the back of the arena. Cena joins in, and Rollins is doing his best to fight them off. He runs off and decks a guy loading stuff in his car. Rollins takes the car and speeds off. Ambrose was trying to get in the back of the car and fell. Cena and Ambrose look at each other as we go to commercial. Back from the break, and we see what just happened. We see the Authority backstage, and now it's Ambrose versus Kane and Orton versus Cena for later in the night. WWE Intercontinental title match, Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. We go to the ring, and out comes Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. His stunt double, Damien Sandow, has a replica belt. Yeah, this is last week's. Justin Roberts does former ring introductions before the match. Back and forth starts the match. Ziggler takes control with a clothesline. Ziggler with a headlock after a 2 count. Miz turns around and gets a headlock of his own. And Sandow is still doing his own imitation outside of the ring. Choreographing. Miz drops Ziggler with a shoulder, but shows off some. They counter each other, but Miz gets a big knee to the gut. Miz with another headlock now, and Sandow is still doing everything that both of the guys in the ring are doing. They get to their feet, and Ziggler hits a big open hand slap to the chest, and even Miz now is feeling the chest hits. Miz drop kicks his leg out. Miz goes for the figure 4, but Ziggler kicks him into the ring post. Ziggler hits a big clothesline and splash in the corner. Miz blocks the neck breaker and ends up on the apron. Miz with a knee to the gut and a neck breaker off the apron to the floor. And we go to commercial. Back from the break, Ziggler is kicking out of a pin attempt. Miz hits the big clothesline in the corner. Miz goes to the top but jumps into a huge drop kick from Ziggler. Ziggler with a clothesline and gets some offense on to get fired up. Miz dodges the Famouser. Goes for the neck breaker but is countered. Ziggler hits a big DDT for a 2 count. And Ziggler blocks the skull-crushing finale. Miz blocks a kick, but Ziggler blocks the figure 4. Miz runs into an elbow. Ziggler comes off the second rope, but Miz catches him with a figure 4. Ziggler won't tap, but Miz gets a pin attempt out of it. Ziggler reaches the bottom rope. Finally gets a break to hold. They end up on the floor, and Sandow gets taken out. Miz brings it back in and nails the skull-crushing finale for a very close 2 count. More back and forth action as Miz kicks out of the Famouser. As we get more back and forth with Sandow getting involved. Ziggler gets the win with a roll up. And becoming the new Intercontinental Champion in 1 day after the rematch. Ziggler celebrated after the match and announces hype Dean Ambrose versus Kane after the commercial. Bo Dallas versus Jack Swagger was up next after the break. Bo Dallas is already in the ring. We'll see a replay of his match with Jack Swagger from SmackDown. They're tied 1-1 now. Swagger makes his way out next with Zeb Coulter. Swagger attacks and takes it to the corner. He backs off and they lock up. Bo turns around in the corner and beats Swagger down. Bo with a big clothesline. Bo drops several knees and covers for a 2 count. More offense and gets a 2 count. Swagger turns it around and hits a Swagger bomb in the corner with a big pop from the crowd. Bo counters with a move and a swinging neck breaker for a 2 count. They go and Swagger gets the Patriot Lock applied for the win. Tap out. After the match, Zeb grabs the mic and taunted Bo for losing. Announcers mentioned Eric, the actor of Howard Stern fame, who recently passed away. Back to commercial. Summer Rae versus Natalya was up next, and they show some of the action from the Total Divas program. Summer Rae was out with Layla, her new buddy. And Natalia's out with Rosa Mendez, her driving buddy on the Total Divas show. Summer cuts a promo before the match and says it's hard being her. She says summertime is over and for everyone else, but never stops for her and her girl Layla. Back and forth action, but Summer keeps Natalya grounded on the mat. Natalya powers to her feet and goes to work. She jumps on the back of Summer's neck and drop kicks her in the face. Natalya with a big clothesline and knees in the corner. Layla distracts Natalya on the apron. Summer rolls her up for a 2 count. Natalya turns it back into a sharpshooter while Rosa takes Layla off the apron and Summer taps out. Still to come segment before a break. Ambrose versus Kane. After the break, we see what happened with Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and John Cena from earlier from Raw. Kane versus Ambrose was next. We go to the ring. Out comes Ambrose, ready for a fight. Kane was out next. They go at it, and Ambrose beats Kane in the corner and unloads on him. Ambrose runs into a big shot, but right back to tackle Kane. Ambrose comes off the second rope with a flying elbow for a 2 count. Kane takes it to the corner with shoulder thrust and a big chop. Ambrose ducks and fires back with the right hand. He drop kicks Kane in the chest, grabs him for a choke slam, but Ambrose fights out. Kane charges, Ambrose ducks, sending Kane to the floor. Ambrose dives out and takes Kane out. Ambrose goes up top, gets a pop from the crowd, and brings steel chairs out from underneath the ring. He turns around to a big boot from Kane. Kane whips Ambrose into the steps. Kane rolls Ambrose back in the ring and covers for a 2 count. Kane works on the shoulder, but Ambrose fights out and runs into a boot. Ambrose comes off the second rope again, but Kane levels him with a right hand for a 2 count. Kane keeps Ambrose down, works on the shoulder some more. Kane with another 2 count. They get up and Ambrose nails a big DDT. Ambrose with right hands. He runs into a big one from Kane and bounces right back off the rope with a clothesline. Ambrose goes to the top, hits a missile drop kick for a 2 count. Kane counters in the corner and goes for a choke slam. Ambrose blocks it and nails a dirty deeds. Seth Rollins runs in and attacks for the disqualification. Winner of the match, Dean Ambrose by DQ. Rollins continues to beat on Ambrose as the bell rings. Rollins brings a chair into the ring, but Ambrose tackles him and works him over. Ambrose dumps Rollins to the floor. Ambrose runs the ropes for a dive, but Kane jumps on the outside with a big right hand. Kane comes back in and choke slams Ambrose. Fans boo as Rollins and Kane head up the ramp together. Rollins stops and goes back towards the ring. He stops when Ambrose is waiting with a chair. Rollins backs up the ramp and Ambrose music hits. And that's it. Back from a break, Triple H confronts Seth Rollins and Kane backstage as Dean Ambrose runs up and attacks Rollins as Triple H gets out of the way. Ambrose nails Kane and goes back to work on Rollins. Security breaks him up as Triple H tells him to take him out of the building. Stephanie appears and they lock Ambrose in a room. Stephanie says if they throw him out, he will come back. At least now they have him under control. Triple H tells security to watch the door. We get a replay of the WWE Network coverage on Roman Reigns. Sheamus and the Usos versus Goldust and Stardust was up next. We go to ring. Out comes the United States Champion Sheamus. The Usos were out next to a pop from the crowd. Coleslaw talks about Connor the Crusher and plugs the Connor's Cure charity and new auction at auction.wwe.com as we go to commercial. They come back and show stills from Stardust and Goldust winning the titles at Now Champions. New tag team champions are making their entrance. Now Cesaro looks on from ringside. Jey Uso starts off things with Goldust. Goldust strikes first with a kick to the gut. Uso fights back. Uso gets tossed to the floor but runs right back in and drops Goldust. Uso with chops. Jimmy Uso tags in for the double teaming and get a backdrop on Goldust that sends him to the floor to regroup. Stardust tags in. They counter each other's moves and Stardust ends up on the floor for a breather. Cesaro then tags in and wants Sheamus. Sheamus tags in and Cesaro ambushes him. Sheamus turns it around and they start brawling. Cesaro with an uppercut in the corner. Goldust tags in and keeps up the attack on Sheamus. Stardust and Uso gets tagged back in and Stardust keeps control. Uso fights back with a big chop. Goldust tags in, takes over. Uso rances back into the corner. Uso knocks Cesaro off the apron, but Stardust drops him over the top rope for a 2 count as we go to commercial. After commercial, Stardust runs into a kick from Uso in the corner. Sheamus tags in and unloads on Stardust. Stardust ducks a high knee. Sheamus hits a rolling senton. Sheamus knocks Goldust off the apron and hits Stardust with the forearms to the chest on the apron. Cesaro gets knocked off the apron, but Cesaro pulls Sheamus' leg and he tries for a battering ram. Sheamus falls on his face on the floor and lands hard. Cesaro brings Sheamus back in and drops him for a 2 count. Cesaro with a headlock. Stardust comes back in and keeps control on Sheamus. Cesaro hits a big boot while the referee isn't looking. Stardust with a 2 count. And Stardust goes for a springboard move, but they collide in midair and both go down. Goldust and Jay also tag in. And Cesaro was knocked off the apron. Uso hits a double team move on Goldust. Stardust tossed Jay. Cesaro saves Goldust from getting pinned. Uso super kicks Cesaro out of the ring. The Usos both run the ropes and leap out onto Stardust and Cesaro. And Uso goes to the top for a splash, but lands on Goldust's knees. Goldust hits his finisher for a 2 count, and Sheamus saves it. Sheamus hits a road kick on to Stardust to send him out of the ring. Cesaro also ends up on the floor after knocking Sheamus over. The end comes when one of the Usos hits a splash on Goldust for the win. Randy Orton backstage with Seth Rollins walking up. Rollins appreciates that Orton is facing John Cena tonight. Rollins says he may have a little surprise waiting for Orton at ringside tonight. Rollins says he and Kane will be watching from ringside as well. We see Mark Henry walking backstage for his match. Cole Saw shows us the new WWE 2K15 gameplay trailer. Back from the break, and security is still guarding the room that Dean Ambrose was thrown into earlier. We go to the ring, and out comes Mark Henry. Henry looking disappointed as we see stills from his match against Rusev from Night of Champions. Henry apologizes and says he feels like he let his country down again. Henry says he's not 100% physically, but he also feels heartbroken. He says fans are entitled to pick on him tonight. He gets the what treatment and acknowledges it. He says he's sorry. Rusev's music hits and out he comes with Lana. Lana says everyone here is so pathetic and apologetic. Like Henry, a USA chant started broke out from the crowd. Lana tells the fans to shut up. Lana says fans want to see another match between the two. Henry accepts the challenge and says he will be happy to destroy Rusev tonight as Lana tells Rusev to crush Henry and they start the match. They march to the ring. Henry looks on from the ring as Rusev makes his way down. We go to commercial. Back from the break, and they are already going at it. Rusev takes Henry to the corner and unloads on him. Henry tosses Rusev across the ring, but it's hurting. Rusev takes Henry back to the corner for more shots to the body. Rusev with a big running splash and a submission on the mat. Rusev stands up, stomps on Henry's back. Rusev goes back to the hold on the mat. Henry makes it to his feet. Rusev drop kicks him. Wasn't very high of a drop kick. Rusev went back to the same hold and kept Henry grounded. Henry gets up and makes a comeback with a clothesline. Henry splashes Rusev in the corner. Henry with a big scoop slam on Rusev. They go to the floor and Henry tosses Rusev into steel steps. Henry slams Rusev into the apron and tosses him into the barrier. Henry brings him back into the ring and drops down to a headbutt. But Rusev, a la Junkyard Dog, headbutts. Henry goes for a splash out of the corner, but Rusev takes him out. Rusev gets fired up and waits for Henry to get up. Man is struggling and applies the accolade. Henry won't tap, but passes out. Referee calls for the bell. After match, Henry laid out face down while Rusev and Lana pose under the Russian flag. A medic comes in to check out on Henry, but he's still out. We get a look back at what happened tonight. Still to come, Cena versus Orton. In the main event, we see Adam Rose and the Bunny backstage with the Rosebuds. They're in action next. Back to the commercial. Adam Rose and the Bunny versus Heath Slater and Titus O'Neil. Back from the break. Slater Gator waits in the ring, and as Adam Rose makes his way out with the Rosebuds, including the Bunny. Rose starts things off with Titus. Titus runs him over with a shoulder. Titus with a huge backbreaker over his shoulder. Titus takes Rose to the corner, and in comes Slater. Slater drops Rose for a 2 count, but the Bunny hops around on the apron. Rose tries to fight free, but Slater slams him by his hair. Slater has words for the bunny, but before going back to work on Rose, Slater gets a headlock. Rose fights free, but Slater stops the tag. Rose kicks him off and tags in Titus. Titus stops Rose from tagging in and takes a shot at the bunny, but misses. Rose takes out Titus' leg. Slater and the bunny tag in. The bunny springboards in, and the Slater runs into his feet. The bunny with a drop kick. Titus comes in, and the bunny dumps him to the floor. The bunny with a spin kick to Slater. Rose tags in, and the bunny leaps out onto Titus on the floor. Rose hits a party foul for the win on Slater. We see Nikki Bella walking backstage before going back to commercial. We come back, and Dean Ambrose is still being guarded. In the room locked, Nikki Bella comes to the ring and talks about needing her sister's support before her big match at Night of Champions, but Brie's hurtful words are what caused her to lose the Divas title match. Nikki says that she's going to take matters into her own hands and calls out Brie again to the ring. Brie comes out and they have words. Nikki insults Brie and says that she's a disgrace to the Bella name. Nikki wants Brie to give her the Bella name. Nikki wants to be known as the Nikki Bella from now on. Just like somebody else, the Brian Kendrick. Brie says that she will not be given her name. Nikki asks why Brie hasn't taken Daniel Bryan's name. Nikki calls Bryan an ugly, beaten down troll. Brie slaps Nikki and goes for the yes lock, but Nikki scrambles out of the ring. Brie tells Nikki to come back in for a fight. AJ Lee's music hits. Out comes the new WWE Divas Champion. She skips past Nikki and enters the ring, and we go to commercial. We get Nikki Bella versus AJ Lee. Back for the break, Paige is on commentary. Back and forth match between Nikki and AJ on the mat. They go to the floor, and Nikki takes control after throwing AJ into Paige while she's sitting at the table. Paige is upset. Nikki brings AJ back to the ring and keeps control. Nikki drops AJ for a 2 count. Nikki works on the arm. There's Nikki with an arm bar. AJ comes back but Nikki slams her back to the mat on her head for a close 2 count. As Nikki works AJ over in the corner now, as AJ counters in the corner and turns it into the Black Widow for the non-title win. After the match, Paige taunts AJ from ringside as AJ kisses her title. And that's the end of their segment. We see security still guarding the room as Ambrose is still in it. Triple H tells him to make sure he doesn't leave and walks off. Still to come, Cena versus Orton in the main event. Coleslaw hypes. WWE 2K15 roster reveal on the WWE Network after Raw, so we get a promo for it. And the main event, John Cena versus Randy Orton. Back for the break, there's a surprise cover at ringside from Seth Rollins. I'm wondering if it's the cinder blocks. Randy Orton is out next for the main event. Seth Rollins and Kane come out to watch from ringside. John Cena is out next with a mixed reaction and is wearing his new blue t-shirt. Well, for only 1 week, because the Susan Coleman week starts off the month. And even with the pink ring rope, or middle rope. Back to for next week's Raw. Back and forth start the match. Orton drops Cena with a shoulder and poses over him. Cena drops Orton with a shoulder next. Orton beats Cena around into a corner with a body shot. Orton stomps on Cena. Orton wastes time and Cena makes a comeback. Cena with a bulldog and a 2 count. Orton nails a knee off the ropes. Orton kicks Cena in the head as we go to commercial. Back from the break, and Orton clothesline Cena for a 2 count. There's Kane and Wallace look on from ringside. Cena comes back with a shoulder block with a shoulder off the ropes, but misses the next one and flies out of the ring. Orton follows and sends Cena into the steel steps. Orton backdrops Cena on the announcer's table and smiles. Orton brings Cena to the apron for the draping DDT, but Cena backdrops Orton out of the ring. They both collide in the middle of the ring and go down. They get up and trade shots. Orton nails backbreaker for a 2 count. Orton keeps control and goes for another pin. Orton runs into a boot in the corner. Orton blocks a clothesline and gets a sleeper hold. Lock on Cena. Cena makes another comeback and hits a shoulder tackle, followed by a big slam. Orton blocks the 5-knuckle shuffle with a kick to the face and hits a power slam for a 2 count. Cena blocks the draping DDT again. Orton comes back in. Cena goes for the STF, but Orton counters it and nails a big clothesline. Orton takes Cena up for the superplex, but Cena headbutts him into back to the mat. Cena climbs up, but Orton cuts him off. Orton hits the draping DDT from the top rope and covers for a 2 count. Orton poses, and some fans boo. Cena blocks the RKO and gets the STF locked in. Rollins and Kane hit the ring for disqualification. Rollins and Kane are all over Cena as the referee calls for the bell. Orton joins in, and it's a 3-on-1. Cena fights back, but Rollins catches him with a kick. Kane hits Cena with a choke slam. Rollins yells to finish Cena off. They push Cena out of the ring, and Rollins takes apart the announcer's table. They go to get the surprise, but Dean Ambrose pops out instead. Ambrose unloads on Rollins, Kane, and Orton. Ambrose boots Kane from the top of the table. He then leaps off the table onto all 3 men. Rollins comes back in the ring, and Ambrose hits the bounce back clothesline to a big pop. Kane grabs Ambrose, but Cena makes a save. Rollins escapes and runs through the crowd. Cena hits Kane with an attitude adjustment after Ambrose sent Orton out. Ambrose stands on the top of stairs at Rollins in the crowd. Cena and Ambrose stand tall in the ring as Ambrose's music plays and all goes off the air. And that's it for my report for Raw from the 22nd. Thanks again. Peace out. God bless. See you on me.